The public-private initiative known as Boston Main Streets began in 1983. It was a time when neighborhood commercial centers were being left behind by the flight of shoppers and home buyers to the suburbs, but also by structural changes in retail. After decades of turnarounds and recoveries, new challenges have emerged during the pandemic and even earlier. That's part of the reason for the city's community engagement process to reimagine local businesses and strengthen the Main Streets program. To tell us what the city hopes to accomplish is the Director of Small Business in the Office of Economic Development, Natalia Urtubey. Thank you very much for being with us, Natalia.
So happy to be here. Thank you, Chris.
Natalia, it's pretty clear that many business districts are suffering during the pandemic itself, but why is the city calling for a reimagination?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it was about maybe a year and a half ago or so. I joined this team about 2 years ago, and Chief Barrows and I were having a lot of conversations about how each district really has its own story, its own culture, its own, but it's also its own successes. And so we wanted to see what the city's investments really look like across the board and how we can ensure that we're bringing equity in our investments, and that we're seeing, equitable access to these resources that the city of Boston has across our main streets and across the city, really. So as you noted, Boston Main Street is the largest urban Main Street program in the nation, and we've become a model for what to do for urban neighborhoods across the U.S. And as we were looking at what that looks like in the city of Boston, we realized, the city hasn't actually done an analysis about this, about our impact, about the city of Boston's investment into neighborhoods through the Main Street program in, since its inception. And we thought this is a really great opportunity for us to refocus on our neighborhood commercial districts, how we can ensure that each of these districts is bringing vibrant neighborhoods, access to resources, to making sure that, we're creating placemaking opportunities across the city, and really bringing in tourists, bringing in a lot of that economic power that is harnessed in Boston to our neighborhoods.
I know you're bringing the equity lens to this now, but the equity lens was there in the past too, when there was concern about access to licenses for alcoholic beverages, which were needed to make good money in a restaurant. Is there any new progress that's hoped for with that?
That's a great question. I think we're still working on that diligently. It's really important for us to see local folks really be able to access those licenses to build businesses in their communities, and really build wealth with that access to those liquor licenses. So we are still working on that. It's a huge priority for us because as without a liquor license, restaurants really, especially in some of our neighborhoods that don't have liquor licenses, you just see a lot of takeout restaurants. And so you're not creating those spaces for people to go and visit and go explore and go get to know a new neighborhood or go spend dollars, within certain communities.
Well, I know one of the reasons for all this attention to restaurants is that we had this influx of people who thought of themselves as foodies for one kind or another. But but the food sector is going to be, dramatically shaken up by the pandemic. It'll maybe thrive in a different way, but how should the neighborhoods think about adapting to that?
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen a huge number of restaurants adapting from cash only to bringing in credit card purchases to creating a digital footprint and getting online, partnering with other folks around the city, to create partnerships that allow people to spend in multiple places. We've seen a lot of innovation, and I think that is what we're going to continue to see over the course of this pandemic and the economic recovery of our neighborhoods. I think restaurants in particular are a unique type of business because not only do most of them hire local, they're very specialized, but they're also a place where people are still, shopping at on a regular basis. We're seeing more people do takeout than ever before. We're seeing a sense of responsibility from our residents to spend locally, to go explore those restaurants. And I think restaurants are, being really thoughtful about how they engage their customers. I think as from the city's perspective, we've done a ton of work to ensure that our local restaurants are also taking advantage of some of the resources available. For example, we have been working really closely on the outdoor dining pilots, from, shifting the system of how folks could get that outdoor dining access during the, summer and fall of 2020, to really shifting into a new system for folks to be able to access outdoor dining capacity during 2021 season. And so for us, these are ways in which restaurants in particular can really benefit from using public space to bring folks and shift the culture in some of the commercial districts around some of these types of activities like outdoor dining or takeout zones and things like that.
Well, what I've noticed is these are not just places to eat and drink. I mean, in places in Dorchester Avenue that used to be, in my younger days, Irish bars, they are now hotbeds of diversity. Why is that so important?
Well, because it really reflects what our communities look like. I don't think you can go anywhere in Boston and not see people of all ethnic backgrounds, immigrants of all types of countries. You see young people, you see elderly folks, you see a really wonderful mix of people. And I think when you start seeing that being reflected in the customer base of local establishments, you start embracing it in a different way. And I think our restaurants are really a great place for that to happen. And we've seen it happen, especially during the pandemic.
What about other kinds of new ideas for giving people in the neighborhoods what they want from these retail centers? I think it's something like the Black Market near Nubian Square. Uh, is there a way we can see more things like that for different neighborhoods?
Yeah, that's a great example. Black Market, Black Market brings in local vendors from all kinds of backgrounds and brings them into one place. I think people are looking for that. I think over the course of the pandemic, we've been trying to figure out how to create some of those partnerships and build partnerships between different types of vendors so that they can really leverage each other's presence to access more customers. It's been tough, obviously, because anytime that folks are gathering, you want to be able to be really conscious of the public health elements there. So we've talked to, we as a city created outdoor retail extensions for any shop that has a retail storefront. We said, hey, here's a simple form, some simple guidelines. You can bring your business outside and use that as a way of garnering more visibility for your customer base. So there's been things like that. I think as the spring comes and fall and summer come and we see more shoppers willing to walk around and do all that, we are going to see more of those types of innovations where businesses are really trying to garner more exposure and partner with one another to bring visibility to their market.
Well, tell me a little bit more about the process, because you're going to have some community engagement. So you're going to be hearing people express their feelings, but you're also going to be doing some almost, clear-eyed analysis, like an inventory.
Yes, so Reimagine Main Streets is exactly that. We want to hear from people about what they want to see in a commercial district, what the role of Main Streets really should be and is, and we want to hear from folks about what are the innovations that we're missing out on, right? That we're not seeing that they would love to see. So we've hired some consultants, CJ Strategy Matters, and they've brought in a sub archipelago strategy, which is obviously a marketing firm. And these folks are experts and they're wonderful, and they've been doing a tremendous job engaging the community. We've been doing these feedback sessions. We've done them in multiple languages. They're going to be partnering districts so that we can really get diverse perspectives in each of these feedback sessions. The next one is tomorrow evening for West Roxbury, Rosendale, Hyde Park, and JP Center South. But you don't have to be in those communities to participate. And what we're really trying to get a sense of is, how do people understand the Main Streets to exist? What are some of the ways in which the Main Streets can serve the businesses better, right? Really bringing in kind of that community perspective. And what can the city do better to support these commercial districts? And so what we're hoping to hear is some raw truths, and to be able to take that feedback and really build a comprehensive set of goals and metrics for the Main Streets program.
We should finally mention, if people want to get more details on the process as it unfolds or get involved, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so there's two ways. One, you can follow the Facebook page, which is Reimagine Boston Main Streets, or you can go to boston.gov / reimagine main streets.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you so much, Chris. Take care.
Director of Small Business in the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, Natalia Urtubey. We'll have more news in just a moment.